All right, what's up, family? It's Marshawn, Conscious Thought 101. Yeah, they touchy subject that tends to bring the emotions out of FBA here in America. Well, FBA does mean Foundational Black American, but it tends to bring the emotions out of FBAs. Sort of like how politics does when black people stop voting Democrat and other black people, or they just stop voting at all, and other black people, no, your ancestors, they want to shame you, or if you don't vote Democrat, them Republicans gonna put us back in slavery. And Republicans didn't have us as slavery. Democrats did, and the Democrats were KKK also. So this subject is Native Americans are not black. And on the other page, I've been, people messaging, I text back the name callers, I diss them and move on. And, I don't hear from them. But the people that exercise their brainwaves come with respect, legitimate conversation. I go back and forth. They tell me why they think so, and I tell them why I think we are not. Not to say we're going to intermix with them. People bring up Columbus, other explorers, this, that, and third, and I'm just getting weary of the over explaining my point through message. It's feel like a text message where people don't get the full context and understanding of what I'm saying or versus what they are saying to me. So I'm putting it on video, and no, Native Americans are not black. Somebody mentioned, I think it was the Lumbee tribe. I went on their page. The Lumbee tribe getting some type of government recognition. Nothing wrong with that. But to put them as black, no. I went to their website, looked through all the pictures. The chief or whatever it was that might have been at the White House or might have visited with Biden or something. This guy looks like a white man with a tan, bald head, or if he's black, his genes are highly mixed with something else. And I'm looking through all the pictures, and it was presented as this tribe was a black tribe. I don't see the black people. I see mostly fair-skinned or light Native Americans, and I might have seen some older, elderly woman that had some color to her, but she wasn't black. The lady wasn't black. And she wasn't dark like dark-skinned black people. She was a darker complexion, but the whole phenotype, she's not black. And I'm trying to figure out, how do black people project our culture onto these tribes, or us coming from these tribes that and look nothing like us? And people say, well, $5 Indians, white folks there. I get that. I ain't denying $5 Indians. But what year did that happen versus the history of the Native Americans being here itself? So people say, oh, they intermix. When black and white people have sex and produce children, they still don't have the straight hair. And if they're light, You could look at them and tell one parent is black, one parent is white by the texture of their skin. They have a high yellowish, extra high yellow skin complexion, or they could be light skinned, but you could see in the hair it still has the black hair mixed with white hair. Oh, what's that football player name? Kansas City that the refs keep looking at cheating for him. What's it? Kansas City Chiefs quarterback. I forgot his name. I'm not a fan of KC, but anyway, that guy. You know, he's a mulatto. Half black, half white. Look at his hair. So, I'm going to start with Columbus, 1492. Lands on the Caribbean islands. He meets some Indians there, is what they would call. I'm not about to get into all the technical name, and he called them that because there's a miss me with all that. We could bypass that, and I could air my piece, and I'm going to send a link to certain individuals just for conversation purpose. The Indians were described as tawny color. That's like a brownish orangish type of color. They had one hostage. Christopher Columbus, seeing he was from Africa, but he couldn't identify the tribe. So basically he said, what's up with him? How you get here? And he told him, it's a whole bunch of them down that way. Where they come from? And the Indian pointed to the east. They come from where the sun rises. And we all know the sun rises in the east. You go east of the coast of America, you're going to end up on the west coast of Africa. They come in gold-tipped spears. They come trading in gold-tipped spears, indicating that it's a trade route. They come here often by ship. One of the things they have are gold-tipped spears. Barter and trade. And but these particular ones are shipwrecked, and they're hostile. And we fight with them all the time, you know. Just got through fighting with them, you know. They had them hostage. So Columbus took some spears back to Spain to have it analyzed, and when they analyzed it, they found it was the exact same composition of minerals mixed with the gold to make that particular type of spear that's found in Africa that they are familiar with. So that's the highway. The ocean was the highway. And it was another explorer that came with, what's his name? They had the good ship Jesus, Sir Walter Hawkins, Jesus or LeBeau, whatever it was. The good ship Jesus was what it was called. Now, side note, before this Native American or black whole issue blew up on YouTube, right before that, if anybody remember, it was the good ship Jesus. We all say Jesus because it was the good ship Jesus that brought us over here. The letter J was not used until, not even in the original King James Version, I want to say mid-1600s. The guy that had this ship called the Jesus or the Butte, what's his name? Sir Hawkins, I believe is the last name. But anybody can look it up. Might be William Hawkins, John Hawkins, whatever it is. It ain't important. You can find it. Just look up the good ship Jesus. That was staying on YouTube. Nobody had any source. It was, they had the pictures, the narration, and all these videos. The only source I found was YouTube itself. Threw it out there. That's why we call him Jesus. Now, in real life, if you look up Hawkins, he came from Britain, but he wasn't even the first slave ship. He was getting into it with Portugal. They were warring with each other, and he would take slave if he won the battle. He did win. They took the slaves from another Portugal ship. So, one of the explorers on one of his trips over here, Portugal got the ups on them. It could have been Spain or Portugal with that, so he had to take people from the other ships that was in the fleet, and he had too many people, so he had to drop some people off. Told them, he going back to Britain, y'all gonna have to get off. We ain't got enough room. Supplies, dropped them off in Mexico. The people split up. Some went south, further south in Mexico. Others went north. Then some of them turned around, went back south, but it was David Ingram, an explorer. He walked from Mexico up through, could have been Virginia, Carolinas, or whatever. Seen some other Europeans, hitched the boat ride further up north, then called a ride to Britain or somewhere in Europe. And his notes, he described people as tawny colored and olive colored. One case, it was a court case. This was years and years and years ago. On one of them, them like FBI files. They investigate murders and all that stuff. They tell a story about a detective caught the guy, and the witnesses said it was a guy. He had olive-colored skin. And ain't no black person walking around here with the olive color. And he also mentioned cannibals. And he said cannibals had sharp teeth like dogs. Yeah, they will literally eat you. So, but back to the case, the guy, detectives was like, green olive-colored skin and couldn't put it together until the guy ended up doing something else, getting into a fight. Whatever police call, they ran by. And they seen him. It was a real big guy. He don't look like nobody. You could picture where's this guy from. Turned out, I believe he was from Australia, somewhere in that area. And I'm gonna just leave that there. So wherever he was at, he was in olive colored skin, and that's the only thing I can relate to a place of origin for people with olive colored skin. It may be other places. As far as the realm of my knowledge, my mind goes right to that court case. This big, awkward-looking dude was from Australia, walking around in whatever city with his green textured skin, olive color. So, and David Ingram, he mentioned all these little cities and towns as he's walking through, whatever, these different Native Americans. So you had tawny colored there, you had tawny colored in the Caribbean, etc. And I don't understand how people hop, skip, and jump over the fact that Columbus seen Africans and the Indians indicated that they trade with them. They come from the east by ship. So the good ship Jesus narrative disappeared. I think it ran for about a year or two. It disappeared as quick as it came. As soon as it disappeared, the black people or Native American agenda popped up on the scene. And with that came, we not from Africa. We were never slaves, and it wasn't no slave ship. this, that, and the third. They robbed us and this and that. And the agenda that I see, if black people didn't come from Africa and we were here all the time, what civilization did we build here? So in my mind, I'm analyzing it as that's for some wicked branch of government to say, to give other people the case that if you were here all this time, what did you build? You built some mounds, that's it? Okay. Yeah, I was TPs, okay. Okay. And it's going to boil down to, yeah, black people still ain't did nothing. You ain't got no history, real history yet. Where's that? You've been here all this time. Where's that? Where your history at? Now, let's go before Columbus. We know the Egyptians built ships and sailed. We know the Phoenicians sailed, but the Phoenicians, they didn't deep sea like we finna go find out and go as far as we could go, etc. They were traders. They ran trade routes all up Africa, Middle East, Britain. I believe they might have. It was some metal they were getting from Britain before Britain was Britain. Could have been tin. They had the purple dye, a whole bunch of stuff. They was the market. Probably the one-stop shop. And the Egyptians, which were black, bought wood from the Phoenicians to build Egyptian ships, because the wood for Egyptians, believe they were fig trees, and you don't just cut down on the fig trees, you don't have no fruit. So, which is a deep history in itself, for people to say we were never from Africa. It's been plenty of discoveries of sites in Nubia, which is now Sudan. They had one in early 1900s where it was 150 sites total. They had 7,500 bodies that were fully intact. Then but that was when Egypt were building dams to flood it out. You know this, they erased it in history. They built a dam and nobody's digging. They can say anything. Because apparently the Arabs over there are very racist towards blacks in Egypt. Even the ones that have direct lineage coming out of Egypt. Found one in the 50s or 60s where it had all of the trademarks of a dynasty before Egypt was founded. They had the burial, they had the government, the social structure, the spiritual worship, the clothing, the mask, etc. It was just Nubian. And for those that don't know, Nubian is Negroid. Yeah. So you have the oldest human fossils found in Africa. Then next is Asia. That's where the migration went out of Africa first, was Asia. And it's two more things. One, I'm going off memory. Tanzania volcanic site that had fossilized footprints of humans and animals. And of humans walking upright, barefoot, dated 1 to 2 million years ago. And keep that in mind. Now, as far as population migrations, we should take into consideration climate change, because in the last 2 million years, or even one, I believe we had more than one ice age. More than one. Even if the weather was changing to the point where you could notice year after year, no matter what you do, things are not the same. It's still got to eat, still got to fish. I'll move on to better land. And that's natural. That's minus whatever the government say, what law we need to change to do X, Y, Z. 79,000 years ago, in the area of Kenya, they found a mummified toddler. 79,000 years ago. Toddler died. It was mummified in some type of burial container, still preserved. Dated 79,000 years ago. Where are the 79,000-year-old mummified bodies in America? We know, I think in South America, I don't know if it's Peru, where they had some signs of mummification, but it don't outdate Africa. If it did, it would be popularized. So, bring it on down. This ice age, landlocked people, well, Africans that migrated to Europe into the mountains for however many thousands of years, till they lost their pigmentation. So, Earth starts to warm up, people are coming out. Because there are fossils of humans that were dark, long hair, blue eyes in the European area. We know we have in the Pacific Islands, we have those dark-skinned people with blonde hair and blue eyes, Pacific Islands. Hair is a factor. The Aboriginals of Australia, some of them have curly hair, long curly hair, and that could come from the rainforest. It's like black people, you have so-called nappy hair from the hot climate in Africa to keep the head cool. White people have long hair also to keep their neck and head warm. Native Americans tend to have unusual characteristic trait of having straight hair to be black. So we go through, and even to see some Native Americans, certain parts of the country, they're either Mexican or Asianish, or mixed with Mexican and Asian. The country of Mali, around 1309, right before Mansa Musa. The king's name started with A. I forgot his name. I'm not going to butcher the name trying to pronounce it, but people can look this up. He sent 400 ships across the Atlantic towards this part of the world 200 of the ships were supply ships. 200 supply ships. This is in 1308. 200 supply ships. The other 200 were different men. Was it women on there? I don't know. So at that same time, they never returned. One ship returned to tell the king that he seen the other ships going to attack. It turned and the boats disappeared. We know what a lot of different explorers knew, because before he sent them ships, it was rumors the Arabs and other African explorers were telling him it's land across the ocean. We know, depending on when you leave from Africa, the tide is going to send you to the either South America, Caribbean, Florida. And that could vary on the time of the year. But if you leave from the equator, you're going to hit, whether you got a sail or oars, or if the boat broke. And this white explorer in 1969 proved that. I'm going to get to him in a second. So at the same time, archaeologists seen a culture change in central southern Mexico, South America region, with as far as Africans being involved in a society as having a position of esteem. So if we know Arabs knew about land over here, other Africans knew about land over here, the people that were shipwrecked, where else they're going to go? They're going to intermingle in with the Native Americans. And it says this was before the country of Mali in 1308 sent boats over here. So you have white archaeologists, scientists that are naysayers, because the agenda is that black people did nothing. You're not capable of doing anything. You did nothing. That's it, that's all. Because they had a position, they will say so. But we do know that I'm going to have to call them pygmies, because I forgot the proper scientific technical name for the pygmies, which are black. They were all over the planet. They 3 feet tall. They were all over the planet. It was in the late 1700s in Tennessee. I think it's Coffee County. The farmers started finding these tombs while they're plowing, and it turned out to be just mass graveyards. And the people they pulled out, some of them, the bones been in there so long they turned to dust when they opened them up and try and pull them out. They thought they were dogs at first, until they had archaeologists examine them, and they got human teeth, human skull. The way they were buried was, it was the particular way they were buried that they knew it was ritualistic, or that was their custom, but they knew they were human. So they had some, and of course, 1700s, 1800s, that's the time of slavery. So if you got a bunch of slaves, which today you mentioned the word slave, black folks, I ain't getting indentured servant crap, and whatever white slaves that they were messing with that. The Barbary slave trade was up and down the coast of Europe by, Arabs, and probably, what's them people, Vikings, too, at another time frame. The indentured servants that were white came over here. Most of them died in the first year or two out of that 7-year contract. Facts. So to keep the agenda going, you got slaves. You're not finna say, oh, it was people that were like them, but it was a pygmy race and they were here before us. No, they ain't finna have that. That's giving people ideas. You're supposed to be dumb. A slave would get beat for getting caught with a book or trying to read or writing utensils. You ain't supposed to read, you're supposed to work. I tell you how to think. So, and then, of course, coming out the European Dark Ages, once you get a hold of weapons and get a monopoly on weapons, you could go basically anywhere in the world and take over. So you're the one with the guns, they're not. You ain't going to take over right away, but it all depends on the demographics. So they had somebody come and say, oh, these are not pygmies, these were, they were children. So if they were children, where the F are their parents? Because they found there had to be thousands of bodies. Wasn't just a few, it was a graveyard, a mass graveyard. All over the place, facing the same direction. Had a piece of pottery or cooking utensils in one hand, the other hand on their chest or something of that nature. So, if you could erase that history, you could claim you were the only one that sailed over here. Ain't nobody came here until you came here. Which brings me back to the point of this whole thing about native or black people originally being from here is straight propaganda. Where the French braided Native Americans at? You know how black men or women grow their hair so much they French braid it back, just straight back. A black man can't get a perm, then say, my hair texture, I'm a Native American, look at my hair. No, not with a perm, it don't work like that. Where's the nappy-headed tribe at? Where's the nappy-headed Negro tribe? Male and female. Because the Africans or the black folks that came here before Columbus does not make them aboriginal to America if it were people already here and established. They just grafted them into their culture. Then when you get to slavery, they enslaved them. The 5 civilized tribes, the Trail of Tears, Cherokees or Choctaws, whatever, get your slaves, get the F out, go to Oklahoma. Voluntarily, because if we do it, it ain't going to be nice. That's what the U.S. told them. We need this land in Mississippi gone. So then, these court cases of the black people that were freed from their Native American slaveholders, they wanted to sue. When the government gave that money to the Native Americans, basically reparations, the black people had to are suing the Native American tribes because they when you ain't getting nothing. Even though you was considered Cherokee or whatever because you were enslaved by them, now you're free and that money came, man, y'all going somewhere. This is our money. F your history, man. Going somewhere. Take it to court. And they walked away with the bag. So, no, black people are still not Native Americans. And I'm wrapping this up. Yep. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks. Y'all have a nice day.